John says, what a day. MLB opening day, NCAA Sweet 16, and let's throw in some NHL. I might need to get another clicker for my TVs.
Yeah, John is a longtime follower, listener who lives in the District of Columbia, so he's not real happy with the Washington Nationals. But yeah, I wrote a column. Those of you who have never sampled my website, I'll invite you to go to it if you're a baseball fan, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. I wrote a one-man's opinion column today. I think John may have seen it. Maybe John will post it later. It's on the history of opening days in Major League Baseball and why it's really special. So if you get a chance, check my website before the first pitch and just read it, MLB Opening Day.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of tremendous content on your website. I mean, it blows me away. I'll be posting that tonight at about 7:15 or so. But even the best 15 minutes in sports is just terrific. The way you break it all down, and it's just bullet point information, quick hitting. And you can get that by going to the website or signing up for Hacksaw's Insiders Group.
Because we mail out the best 15 minutes in sports to all of our Insiders Group too. Next question.
Okay, let's talk about, Steve said, and he's talking about Padres and Fernando Tatis. Steroids helped him. Mention the steroids.
Well, if he has another 250 season, and if the home runs are not what they were a couple years ago when he stroked 42, I think you have to think that, as he roared through the minor leagues and got to the majors and had success immediately, was some of that fuel driven. Now, he never failed a drug test till post-surgery, and he can stand by his explanation. He did something stupid that he bought on the black market that he should not have done. I just think that's too good a talent. Now, in his regard, remember, he was coming off surgery a year ago this time, and he had the 20-game suspension after the 60 games at the end of the prior season. So he had not really played very much for well over a year, and he was coming off that the wrist surgery, and he was playing right field. So there's a bit of a learning curve there. Let's just see if he bounces back and can be a 35 or 40 home run guy who hits for average, because I had forgotten that he only hit 257 and only hit 25 home runs. I mean, we were so enamored with his ability to play in right field and his gun for an arm. Some of the offense kind of went away. I think it's doubly hard this year because there is no Soto in the middle of the lineup that I think would make everybody else more dangerous.
Well, he's right that you have to mention the steroids with Tatis. My instinct, though, is that he wasn't taking them before he got busted. I think it was part of the rehab that he was trying to get a head start on. We were, my wife and I were at spring training a few weeks ago, and we were on the back fields, and we saw Tatis just barreling every ball, and even in the games, too. I think he's going to have a huge bounce back year. I think he could be an MVP candidate this year in the National League.
Okay, Padre fan doing a podcast from left field. Next question.
Okay, let's go to social media. We got a lot of comments here as well. And right here, this is a good one. This is from Phil. He says, so glad Hacksaw started getting all digital. He's needed a voice in this current sports media landscape.
Oh, Phil. Phil doesn't know the real story, that John and I met by accident, and he sales pitched me to do this. I said I'd try it. And of course, I had already built my website, which was going pretty well, and this thing has exploded. So you're correct, Phil. I've kind of moved into the 22nd century almost. And that's a lot for somebody who's still got a Royal manual typewriter in his garage.
Yeah, I believe that too, that you have the old school typewriter. But it is great. And we get comments like this all the time on social media. So I like to sprinkle them in once in a while on Fans Forum.
Thanks for the compliment, Phil.
Okay, let's go here. Talk a little NFL. This is from Euphoria Deep. He says, as for all for the new kickoffs, anything beats a touchback and another TV timeout. The new tackle rule is just stupid.
Well, the whole thing has become so dangerous, and that's what this rule change, and it's pretty radical. And for the fans that don't know, let me just use him as a prop, so you don't have to carry this segment. John is kicking off to me. John's kickoff guy is at his own 35, but the kick cover team will line up at my 40. That's right. He'll kick from his own 35. The guy's trying to go down the field, make the tackle line up at the 40. My blockers on the kick return unit line up at the 35. There's only 5 yards between your guys and my guys. And I can have 2 guys return kickoffs. Now, this is an XFL rule. Nobody at either line of scrimmage can move. The ball is kicked off. is fielded by my return guy. But those blockers and those gunners cannot move off the line of scrimmage till the ball is actually caught. I saw 5 different videos of XFL games, and the average returns were in excess of 25 yards.
Really?
Because these guys are catching it, wide open space, there's no gunners, and they get their own running start. And the guys who are at the line of scrimmage, they're not blowing off the line of scrimmage. They're trying to get down the field from absolutely standing still. The old rule is those gunners are flying by the time they get to the 50-yard line, and the contact deep in my territory is really fierce. So this will be dynamic. It's going to be different. There won't be any more bleeping touchbacks. The kick return guys are important. The day they passed the rule, the Pittsburgh Steelers signed one of the top kickoff return guys in the league, Cordarrelle Patterson, who scored 9 touchdowns on kick returns with Atlanta. The Steelers signed him. So suddenly, the guys who are returning kicks, they're going to have chances to bust big ones because the blocking will be different. And everybody's going to go back into the marketplace and say, okay, I need somebody that's going to run a 4-3 who's got good hands. He's going to be my kick return guy. So I like the rule. And again, it's all under the umbrella of making the game safer, because the violent collisions have led to just a lot of serious injuries.
Yeah, clearly it's going to be it's about safety. Just while we're sitting here at the table, and you're showing the 35-yard line, the 25-yard line. You ever play table football?
No, not recently. Not
with the triangle paper, you try to get it over the edge. I love that game. I still think, though, when they do this new kickoff rule, you're going to get a lot of old school traditionalists. Like, what is this BS? What is the NFL doing? People are going to complain about it. It's going to be kind of weird. I've often wondered, as kickers have gotten so much better at putting it in the end zone, why they don't move the kicker back, like to the 20-yard line. Obviously that would create a bigger collision, but I'm surprised leading up to it, we haven't seen that change.
Well, they've jerry-rigged this thing, changed it maybe 3 times in 5 years. If you kick it into the end zone, it's a touchback, the ball comes back to the 30. So you're giving my team line of scrimmage 30-yard line. Mm-hmm. So therefore, it's really mandatory that you put it in play. You try to drop it between the 10 and the 5, force them to field it, and then make sure your guys can get down the field to make the tackle. There is no fair catch anymore. In NFL kick returns. You can't be doing this.
That always struck me as weird on a kickoff.
Again, that was all a byproduct of we want to stop these head-on collisions.
Well, and it's also really weird to me when guys are doing the fair catches, whether it's especially on the punts, when they do a fair catch inside their own 10. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing? Just let it hit and let it go in the end zone. It seems like, where the ball comes out has changed a lot over the last few years. It used to be the 20, maybe it was the 25 for a while. And then if you kick it out of bounds, they get it
to 35.
The 35. So all these intricacies about this, but what are the alternatives for a kickoff?
No, this is all about safety. You raise a point about the old school guys screeching. The NFL competition committee brought in 6 veteran special teams coordinators who took part in the breakfast sessions talking about how this thing should be structured, line of scrimmage, who's a gunner, who can go down, who can't go down, your return men, the blockers, and where they're located. So they got input from these guys who live these X's and O's every day of their life. So this was not some vice president of rules who never played the game saying, let's do this. This was input from every one of these special teams coordinators.
Yeah, it's great they're doing this input. But again, if the kickoff went away, I wouldn't have a big problem. If they started the game with a coin flip and whoever won the coin flip gets the ball on their own 20 or can defer, I'd be okay with that. But I'm not sure what this new kickoff thing's going to be like. I think it's just going to be weird. There
was a proposal, as you say, eliminate the kickoff, line of scrimmage 25. Did not get a vote.
Not even a vote?
No. Yeah, there's a dynamic part, and kick return touchdowns, punt return touchdowns change the game just like that.
Oh, yeah, they can.
So that's why they want that aspect of the game in a much safer situation. Okay, let's move on.
Moving on. Okay, let's talk Chargers. This is from Tex McBoog. He says, neither side won, the Keenan Allen trade, but y'all keep forgetting that Harbaugh, a quarterback, does not value the wide receiver in his style of offense that others do. Most of the philosophy boils down to fewer possessions for both teams and shortening the game. Passing teams are hurt by this greatly, while being very efficient scoring per possession. Run the ball, play defense, keep the clock moving.
I agree, Tex, but you got to have the personnel to run what Harbaugh is trying to or will try to run with the Chargers. The Chargers have the 5th pick. They are being pursued by people that want to trade into that slot. Suddenly, it looks like all the world's quarterbacks are going to go in the top 5 picks. That's the rumor, that there's a huge trade rumor out there involving Minnesota at 11, the Raiders at 13. Now Denver's into the mix. So we got those guys that are sandwiched 11, 12, and 13 are all trying to jump ahead. So the Chargers could well trade down. Chargers this week and next week are bringing in for personal evaluations the top 4 offensive tackles, which leads me to believe, as Tex would say, they're going to run the ball. And now they're going to have to develop some other young wide receivers to go with Quentin Johnston and Josh Palmer, who are the only 2 ones really left from the old regime. But I think they're going to get more linemen, and then they can go into the draft and they can get some wide receivers in the 2nd or 3rd round. The radical thing would be they don't take a tackle at 5, they keep the pick, and they take one of the top 2 wide receivers. If this quarterback thing evolves the way it's rumored, all of a sudden Marvin Harrison is there at 5, or Malik Neighbors from LSU, who ran a 4.3 in the combine. He's there, and those are the top 2 wide receivers. I'd be stunned. I think, as Tex says, they'll play hardball ball, which means they're going to run the ball, which means they definitely need one of those stud tackles, and they've got one running back, and they're going to go get another running back. So, and that I think you can go get wide receivers and find them in the 2nd and 3rd round. But I'm shocked. I mean, I know it was a salary cap driven thing, but Keenan Allen was just spectacular for almost a decade, and Mike Williams was good when he could stay healthy, and they don't have a tight end who can catch the ball. So poor Justin Herbert's having lunch today with an empty backfield, empty roster in terms of big play, experienced wide receivers. But I think they're going to draft offensive tackle. Next couple of weeks, we're going to zero in more specifically on the draft.
Well, you've been commenting previously that the running back position has been devalued, that they're not giving as much money to the running backs. Do you think we might see that with wide receivers?
No. Everybody wants a Jamar Chase. Everybody wants a Devontae Adams.
Mm-hmm.
You just go find the right guy and hope you can keep him healthy, and you hope he's the guy you hit the jackpot on. Now, they're not devaluing that at all. It is interesting, though, what happened in the first 48 hours of free agency? All those running backs are available were gone. All of a sudden, Derrick Henry is in Baltimore. All of a sudden, Austin Eckler gets a big contract to go to Washington. So I'm not sure I buy this thing devalued. Nobody wants to pay him $8 to $10 million, but these guys got paydays, and these guys, they're going to be an integral part of what new coaches and new systems are going to run.
Who is the highest paid wide receiver in the league, and how much does he make?
Oh, I think it's Tyreek Hill in Miami now. I want to say last year was in the mid-30s, and it bumps up. So he's set the high water mark, and everybody's now trying to play off that. So Devontae Adams, I think, was making $24 to $25 million with the Raiders. And there's some guys about to become free agents. Jalen Waddle of Miami, who is on the other side of Tyreek Hill, he becomes a free agent right now. He's talking, I want 24. So, and I was told that the Charger wide receiver who got traded refused to take the pay cut and then turned around and said, I'll restructure. You got to pay me 24 next year. And the Chargers said, no, we're not going to do that. And within 24 hours, they traded him to the Bears.
Well, talking about Devontae Adams, I mean, is he still kind of disgruntled in Vegas?
He runs hot and cold.
Yeah.
He went there to obviously be with his former Fresno State teammate, Derek Carr. Then Carr got bounced. And then Garoppolo arrived. And then Garoppolo had all those injuries. And he's still there. They can't really trade him. They don't want to trade him. But now, it's almost as if he's standing on the corner by himself because a quarterback's gone and Josh Jacobs has gone to Green Bay. It's just not the same Raiders offensive package that 2 years ago today, you're looking at all the names on the whiteboard and say, damn, they got a lot of good talent, skill talent.
Mm-hmm.
Devontae's the only one left.
Yeah, the only guy left. But I'm intrigued. You said Tyreek Hill's making over $30 million a year, but most of the running backs make less than $5 million, right? I mean, so
the star running backs. I mean, Derrick Henry. Well, Christian McCaffrey is the exception of the rule. I think his numbers are 10 or 11. Derrick Henry was second most, I think, at 8. Eckler, after all those good years with the Bolts, was trying to get above 6.
Mm-hmm.
So the stars are still making good money. their situation is their careers are probably shorter because of the wear and tear factor.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, wide receivers can last a little longer.
Let's do one more here.
One more. Okay, let's talk Aztecs. We got the big game tonight, and this is from Tony. And he says, I think that San Diego State three-point shooting has been artificially depressed by Dutcher, trying to force three-point shots to get the kinks worked out. I won't expect UConn to defend the three poorly, but there's room for Dutcher and coaches to be flexible and make UConn prove they can defend both Ledee and the perimeter. I expect a good rock fight of a game all the way to the end, and it's possible the Aztecs can pull off a win.
Only if the backcourt hits threes. And by the way, UConn's defense against the three, 31%. Their defense against the three.
Mm-hmm.
And they got big guards. So their big guards are doing this. In terms of San Diego State, I just don't think there'll be any low post game at all for Jaden Ledee. I think that they're going to have to get him on the ball at the foul line. If he can make Klingon, the 7'2" center, come out, maybe Ledee can put it on the floor and go by him. But I don't think he's going to be able to low post, do any turnaround bank shots or anything. Everything Ledee does today, I think, has got to be 10 feet and in either side of the lane or at the top of the key. And he's really good. And I'm not going to say he's going to shoot a lot of threes, but they're going to have to get him in space so he can pull square and shoot. And I think the Aztec defense, they have to hit threes to loosen up UConn's defense, because if they have to come out and defend them because these guys are drilling threes, and I think you'll see State take a lot of threes early to see if they have rhythm. If they have to come out to defend them, that means Ledee's going to have some space maybe to drive and put it on the floor and try to score. I think it's an enormous challenge because UConn is so big and they're so good defensively. They're better defensively than San Diego State is, and we know how legitimate all things Aztecs are. But hey, they're playing. There's a hell of a lot of people that are not playing basketball beginning this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, this is, in my opinion, this season is a success.
Yeah.
If they made the Sweet 16, and if they can, pull off a victory here, what did I say? A 1-3 chance? It might be 1-4, 1-5. It's going to require them to do everything right. But they have the players, they have the ability, and they've had those moments when those guards have gotten hot on the perimeter.
I mean, it was amazing. I mean, a team that was 306th in the country last week shooting threes, hit 13. Hit 13
so
threes
they can do it
in that win. So they did it in that game. But this is a different team you're playing. That's UConn with hands in your face and big guards and that big center. So it'll be fun. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed our opening day special Thursday podcast.